So welcome back to Basin Motorsports. Now on the wide body, one of the things I had never explained is why I chose the suspension route I did on the Wide Fox. So today I'm going to kind of explain the differences in the suspension you can run on a wide body and what path you need to take in order to run either coilover or standard lower control arms from Ford. Now when I built the Wide Fox, you guys have probably seen where I used a standard control arm and spring perch from Ford. Now, again, on the Wide Fox, this is a 99 to 04 lower control arm. It's basically an SN95, but in 99, they made them a little bit slimmer compared to the 94 to 98s, and doing that makes it have a little bit more clearance when the wheel turns lock to lock. Now, some of you guys have started looking into wide bodies in that, and you want to either go coyote swap, you want to go to a bigger engine in that, and you're starting to look at coilover suspensions. Some of you guys have asked why I'm not running coilovers on this to get a better performance out of it. And the simple answer is going to be contact points between the tire and the shock. Now, a lot of you guys have asked why I'm not running something more like a coilover. And the simple answer on running these 315s is space. You can look in there and see that that tire is almost touching that standard shock. What that really means is that if you put anything in there, because the shock itself is a hard stop, it's a hard mount, there's no give, there's no adjustability in out, and then the wheel itself goes to the hub, which goes in there. Everything else is hard mounted, so there's really no way to get that wheel moved out without spacers. Now, in order to move this tire out, you can put spacers on there. You can put longer studs into the hub, move this tire out, and then you've got to start worrying about this compared to this fender. Now, I can tell you, after running this a few months, this thing sits roughly about at the edge, so if you move this out, then you're going to have to worry about having the suspension adjusted up enough to be able to clear that out. And I'm going to guess, without taking measurements, I'm going to guess you're going to have to run probably at least 3/4 to an inch wheel spacer to push 315 tire and wheel out that way. Now, in order to get this wheel moved out, if you don't want to run a spacer, you can run a smaller backspace, meaning that the tire is going to be pushed out further from where it's mounted here. And boy, you're going to start running into a lot of other things, because that way you won't have a consistent front to back unless you also move the rears out. You'll be running a staggered, maybe the same size, but different offset or different backspace, meaning you're going to have a lot less adjustability and rotation ability between the front and rear tires. Now, one other thing I want to point out that I didn't realize was that this tire actually is going to hit the SN95 sway bar long before the normal rack will stop. So inside this boot, there's going to be some steering stoppers. I need to take this boot off on both sides and actually add the little clips that kind of snap over that to prevent this kind of contact. I never turned sharp enough to be able to make it hit like this, but you can see in here that actually hits there. So I'm going to have to stop it somewhere in there to give a little bit of space, and then we're in good shape. So there again, you can kind of look up there at the shock and the wheel. They are almost touching when it's full lock to that side, and the limiting piece would be the other wheel turning, hitting the sway bar. So you can see I've got a little bit of contact right up there, a little rub point, just from testing. So that'll be a fixed point. But hopefully that explains kind of why I don't have coilovers on this, and why I probably will not go to a coyote swap. So now, as I said, I probably won't go to a coyote on this car in that, because it requires a change in K-member, which then requires typically coilovers. The only one that may not require a K-member change is the AJE, and I haven't been able to get answers from them on being able to use like a mod motor or a coyote swap. K-member with a standard or factory replacement style suspension on the front with the lower control arm and the springs in place. I don't want to run spacers on the Wide Fox. I don't want to have to start adjusting out all the stuff. So I'm going to stay with a standard style, just set of springs in that. I think anything going beyond that is going to start getting to more of a track car focus than I want to on this car. And that is clearly not what I want this car to be. I want it to be a driver. I don't want a lot of hassle with all this other stuff. I want stuff easily replaced. And at this point, that's why I'm going to stay with a simple coil separate from the shock on the front and just run it and see how it does that way. Now again, if you have a lot of questions on putting a wide body together and what you can and can't run in that, just remember suspension on the front is probably going to be the limiting piece, whether you want to go coilover or not, need spacers. There are plenty of options out there. There's more than one ways to get to the end. It's just going to be a matter of measuring and that stuff. So hopefully that answers some of your questions on why I didn't go with a coilover suspension, how to go with a coilover suspension if you want to change K members and that. And again, if you've got a favorite manufacturer out there, I would just hit them up, ask them, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to run a wide body with, whatever size tire on the front. How am I going to be able to do that with your suspension kit? Let them help you through that and decide. And that way, you know it's going to fit right the first time. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Basin Motorsports. Canaan is out.
One.